Learning platforms are a pretty simple concept to understand. You create a platform, people sign up, subscribe, and they go and learn a technology or a tool or even a skill. And in learning that, they either move forward in their career, find a new job, or change careers. It's a pretty well tried and tested formula. You've maybe heard of platforms such as DataCamp, Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, where I make courses. And you'll actually find links to these in my description. They're affiliate links, but we'll get to that at some point in the future. Nonetheless, these are tried and tested platforms, and they're great because they have a really broad brush of topics that they cover. But then the problem comes when you have something more niche, more particular. Once you're through the door of the basic understanding of a technology, a lot of these platforms will say that an advanced skill is something I would call intermediate. And so, how do you find a platform that keeps growing with you, keeps growing with your organization, especially if they're, interested in focusing in on Tableau and Power BI? In this video, I talked to Ethan Lang from Playfair Data. He walks me through something called Playfair Plus. This is a learning platform that they've built alongside of their consultancy. And I think it's a really interesting concept. And here's why. You see, they've really thought about nuances that I think we in the Tableau community would really, really appreciate. But also, unfortunately for our sins, we've also had to be learning Power BI. And they've actually brought some duality, some sort of sense of, hey, look, whether you're learning Tableau or Power BI, we've got you in both of those respects. And those things we're teaching you, we can make you do everything we're teaching you in both platforms. And by the way, we're also going to give you resources, a community, and something to consume. So once you've done your learning, your journey continues. I really enjoyed this discussion with Ethan, and he's also an author. So we talked a little bit about at the beginning about some nuances around print design, becoming an author, and generally his experience of how he became an analyst using Tableau. He's now a fairly senior person inside of Playfair Data. So I also think you'll enjoy his journey to becoming senior within the company. And so I think Ethan paints a really, really nice picture and maybe gives a lot of young analysts hope for how they can start with a passion and end up with a lifelong career and being senior in an industry where, increasingly, I think there's a big narrative about AI replacing our jobs. I don't subscribe to that. That's a video for another day. But as ever, let's get stuck into this video. Let's meet Ethan. Ethan, how you doing?
Good, Tim. Yeah, good to be here. Yeah, I really appreciate the invite. But yeah, doing good. How about yourself?
We have we've been trying to schedule this for I think the best part of like a quarter or 6 months.
Yes. Yes, it's been a long time coming, but
It,
we're both busy people, so
We are,
uh,
we are, we
it's
are, we are. No, it's
definitely.
mostly my fault. I wasn't prompt on several aspects. Just and then also Christmas. I think we tried to schedule it just before Christmas, and
Yeah.
as is the case, anything that spills over happens sort of later
Oh,
in the
for
year.
sure.
So no, good to finally have you here. We first sort of properly interacted. You got in touch with me about the Veterans Tableau user group, right?
That's right. Yeah, last year. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
mid last
exactly.
May. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I have fond memories. The user group was great. I loved sort of presenting at the user group. Everyone's super well engaged. And the thing that stands out from it, the reason why, like if someone tells me, like, what is one thing you remember about Ethan? It's the note you sent me with the challenge pin, the handwritten note with a challenge pin. Like that was I've still got that note. I've still got the challenge pin, and I keep them carefully because I can't recall the last time someone sent me like a handwritten note to say thank you, leave alone like a card or something like that. So it was a really nice touch, and I think
Oh, wow.
it's a testament to your personality and the way you run the user group. I feel like everyone who's gone to that user group probably feels the same way. So I had to mention that in this video because that's
No,
that's the
I
last
really
time we
appreciate that.
interacted. So yeah, are you still part of that user group, or are you
Yeah.
sort of phasing in and out?
Yeah, I'm still a part of the user group. We've lost some leadership, so I'm
Yeah,
basically the only one, the only one there for now.
holding the
So I'm
fort.
trying to kind
Good.
of rebuild our structure a little bit and
Yeah,
get us reestablished. But yeah,
good.
we've been going through quite the bit of change as of late. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
at the user group. But yeah, really appreciate that sentiment too. One of my big things is gratitude, and obviously just very thankful for you to come on to the group and share what you've
yeah,
experienced. And it's not your typical Tableau user group presentation either. I mean, kind
yeah,
of behind the scenes, what you do. I mean, that was really interesting. So
yeah.
I personally
Exactly.
got a lot out of it.
Yeah, it's the rare opportunity to just take people behind the curtain a little bit. And
Mm.
yeah, there is a lot of people make content in the community, and I think there is an element to which the value we put behind these things can sort of range in between different things, but you don't often get to see the value that people put into the content, i.e., the time they put in and the care they take. And so it was
Mm.
really nice for me to be able to show some of that, and just give people a peek into sort of the things maybe obsess over. Maybe obsess is the right word, but it does lead to hopefully something that people enjoy. So
Mm.
I appreciate you having me. We wanted to get you on the channel to talk about two things. First one is the book, and then second one is Playfair Data. But before we get into that, I'd love to give people some sort of context as to how you got into Tableau, where you started, like
Mm.
where did the data enthusiast journey start from your perspective?
Sure. That's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I've got time. We've got time.
So I think, like many folks, I just kind of stumbled into data.
Right,
From my experience and just talking to folks in the community, most of us, it's like, well, I was doing this. And then someone was like, hey, there's this Tableau thing. Can you do that?
yeah,
And they just kind of stumbled into it. And my beginnings kind of started around that same kind of line. I'd just gotten out of the military. So I was
right,
in the military, the United States Army, and
hmm,
just got out of the Army and transitioned into the civilian life. And I was
right,
like, what am I doing? So I had a tough time kind of adjusting to that. And
right,
throughout that period, I decided, I had a lot of self doubt. I didn't think school was for me, but I had
right,
surrounded myself by people that, really pushed me in that direction. So I gave it a chance. I enrolled at KU, the University
yeah.
of Kansas out here. Go Jayhawks, Rock Chalk. And, they didn't do too well in the NCAA double or the tournament this year, but,
Fair
maybe
enough.
next year.
Maybe
But
next year.
enrolled in school, and I started as an engineering student. I knew I wanted to do
Hmm.
something in technology. So I started in computer science and took a lot of calculus classes, and I hated it. I hated calculus. I loved the programming part, but I hated calculus. And throughout that program, I actually took a statistics course,
Right.
and everyone hated statistics, and I absolutely loved it. It was so interesting to me. One of the first,
Interesting.
and one thing that really turned me on to statistics and data in general is the project that we did. The professor assigned us a project where it was essentially data from like a insurance company, like an actuary,
Hmm.
where we had to take
Yeah.
information of when someone was diagnosed with something
Yep.
and try to estimate through statistics how long they
How
had
long they'd
left.
live. Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought that was the most powerful, most morbid thing you could ever assign a college student. But
Yeah.
if we're taking data and running it through these models and determining life or death, I just thought,
Yeah.
how powerful is this stuff? You
Yeah.
can really do whatever. So that day, after that project, I went to my guidance counselor and I was like, I want to do statistics, man. Like, is there a
Yeah.
degree in that? Like, how do I do
Yeah.
that? And he put me in touch with, at the time, it was a director at the business school. His name was Christopher Clatterbus. And he was like, we got something brand new. It's called business analytics. Have you ever heard of analytics? And I was like, oh, no, I haven't.
Right.
And so enrolled in that program, he kind of gave me the
Yeah.
spiel. It's data visualization, statistics, kind of doing business analysis, optimizing profits. And I thought, yes, that's it. And haven't looked back since. So
Right.
enrolled in that program, started thriving in that environment. And when I was introduced to Tableau, it was actually in that program.
Right.
So I started building my first data visualizations, and I thought to myself, like, how cool is this? Like, the
Right.
power that you have, like, with this data visualization tool to really drive insight, change, and impact not only a business but nonprofits.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit.
Yeah.
The direct impact that you could do within this tool, I just thought that was so cool. So After that program, I got an internship at a marketing firm
Yeah.
here in Kansas City, and went in there with all these cool ideas, statistics. I was ready, and I got into their internship program, and they were like, "Yeah, so we do things in Excel where we take data out of Google Analytics
Yeah.
and we copy and paste that into an Excel report, and then we do these monthly refreshes like that." And I thought, man, this is backwards. We got these
Yeah.
tools like Tableau where we could literally just connect to the thing, and you could just
Yeah.
hit a button and it would do that. So through that internship, I didn't have very good leadership at the time. My direct manager, his outlet to me was like, "Hey, I don't really have anything for you for the internship, so why don't you work on
Right.
getting like a certification in Google Analytics?
Oh,
So just watch
interesting.
these YouTube videos and like take that." So
Yeah.
I was able to get that cert in like a week, and I was like, "All right, what's next?"
Yeah.
And eventually just started doing things on my own, kind of going around picking people's brain. What do you do? What if you had something like this?
Hmm.
And I spun up a free trial of Tableau and was able to convert
Oh,
one of their reports like using that free trial and demoed it to the director of the department. She was like, "Whoa, like,
okay.
yes,
This is something
let's
else.
go."
Yeah.
So right after that internship, I got a full-time position there, and that's what we started doing, is converting everything over to Tableau. And that's kind of where I cut my chops.
It's
After that,
amazing.
worked for an e-commerce company. That was a lot of fun. Introduced me to a lot of new data. Like in the
Right.
marketing world, it's all about digital marketing and that kind of data. That you would see: paid search, organic search, email data, website data. But then going into like an e-commerce company, man, it was like the door opened as far as datas go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Inventory, supply chain, everything.
Yeah.
So started diving into that with them as a data scientist. Actually, that's when I started doing more statistical work and stuff at that place. It was called Pro Athlete
Yeah.
here in Kansas City. They're one of the largest retailers for baseball bats and baseball gloves, so it was really fun.
Nice.
But started working with them and doing price optimization, trying to predict marketing funnel, who would buy what, setting up marketing channels. It was just a lot of fun, and a great group of folks. Couldn't have asked for better, team to work with.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of fun. And then uh, I started following Playfair through my time
Yeah.
with Tableau, and
Yeah.
through that newsletter, that goes out. I saw one that was like, "Hey, we're looking to grow the team. If you're
Yeah.
interested, click here." And I thought, man, there's no way that I
It's a big
could,
jump.
like, no way. But I took a leap of faith and applied, and eventually got an interview with Ryan, and
There you
rest is
go.
history. Been there since, and absolutely love it. So,
Incredible.
in consulting, I mean, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
You really trying to solve some of the world's like most complex problems. If it was easy,
Yeah.
people can do it themselves. But
People will do it
when
themselves.
it gets
Exactly.
tough, they call in folks that can do that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun, a lot of challenges, very complex problems, and yeah, solving those every day. It's couldn't ask for a better position.
It's an incredible journey. Like I've worked a bit in insurance, so some of the statistical elements you talked about there sort of rung true. It's interesting when I talk to people. It's there's a common theme that keeps coming up, which is like people see a problem, they see Tableau as a good fit, but the critical thing is
Mm.
the 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 first instance when they came across Tableau is somewhat unrelated to the problem they identify.
Mm.
So, like, I keep seeing this trend where people try Tableau, they get its value, they think it's cool, they learn it, whatever, and then they go to a new context, they see a problem, they're like, boom, Tableau can solve that problem. And then same story, get a trial, you try it out, you build it, and then next thing you know, you've changed perspective. And I think it genuinely has that sort of transformative ability. Even today, I genuinely think
Mm.
there are so many use cases where you think, oh, Tableau could probably solve that. And if you think that, then it's typically very quick to kind of realize that thing. So it's an incredible thing. And
For sure.
then also touching on Ryan, like now Ryan Sleeper, for everyone's context, like OG Tableau Zen master, like has been in the game for a long time. I think he's always stood out as an individual who has a lot of taste when it comes to Tableau, and I say that in the most complimentary way. Like and that extends to the team. I think that extends to the Playfair brand in lots of really positive ways, and it's really interesting how even in the work that, like, I see you do and I see everyone do, all of you have sort of developed your own tone and style in that same way. You've all got a very sort of good opinionated sort of opinion about that. So I'm excited to see some of the things you're going to show us, because that will obviously get a scene to that. But I just wanted to sort of pay that compliment, because I think I've learned a lot from Ryan. I've learned a lot from you. I've learned a lot from the team as well. Playfair is a great resource for the community, and I'd highly encourage everyone to check it out. Now, you missed out being an author. So I did say, come on, how did you get to this where you are with Tableau? You missed out being an author. So where does the book come into that? We'll come into Playfair in a second, but where, like, at what point in that journey did you decide, as well as, going to work for Ryan and doing this kick-ass thing, I'm also going to write a book? Like, where did that sort of come from?
Yeah, I have a knack to constantly push for new and exciting things. When I joined Playfair, at the time, I had just gotten my bachelor's, probably 5 years prior to that, and had been in that space for around that same time. Started getting more and more hands-on with Tableau, doing consulting, learning so much from Ryan, and he played a big part in my overall, personal and professional mentorship. I really look at him as a mentor for me. And he kind of pushed me in that direction. He had authored 2 books at the time when I joined the team. And when he started authoring his 3rd book, he asked me if I wanted to be a technical review on it. And I said, nice. I would be honored. That would be so cool. Of course, you don't even have to ask. Just let me know when to start. Exactly. Started doing that. And man, it was really cool to see the process, writing a book is extremely challenging. A lot of folks just think it's like, oh, you just write. It's easy. It's so much more than that. Especially the time, it takes time. And so long story short, got to be a technical review for Ryan's book. Went on to do a couple other technical reviews for other books. One is, looking at my bookshelf here, it's data modeling in Tableau for Kurt Monroe. That was a cool one. Again, another genius in the community. Really good book. And then I started talking to Ryan about it. I'm like, I have this knack for statistics. I love that stuff. And I think there's like there's something missing out there as a resource that takes statistics and data visualization and brings them together. And I thought, what a better tool to do that than Tableau? We already have some of these like native things within Tableau that often get overlooked. It's a deep thing for me. I think those are the most powerful tools in analysis that you can do, but for better or worse, they get overlooked. And I thought, man, I think there's something here. So I pitched the book to him, and he's like, I think you got something. But if you want to do it, here's the way. So he talked me and through it, kind of writing an outline, sending that to the publisher, going through that process of, kind of negotiating with them on the content. They're like, well, we have some of this already, but maybe you could change this. And it's like, no, I don't want to change it because it's important to me in the story, The
package,
so it's like, how about I leave that and like add this? And they're like, okay, cool. So that was a whole process. And then I got the email that was like, "Hey, we've accepted your outline and we want to push it to production and get that going." And I was
Nice.
like, "Oh, it's
Now
happening."
you've got to write it.
Oh man. And I was so excited. I told my wife and she was like, "So what does this mean?" Like, how are you
What
going
does
to
it
do
mean?
that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we have, 3
Great question.
kids and a full-time job and everything else. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I had actually just got done with my master's degree. So I got a master's in statistics. So I'd already that was like 2 years of my life, that was like,
Yeah.
oh, we can't do this weekend. I got to study.
Got to do this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
kicked off the book and started writing. And, just like anything in life, you kind of have to find the balance.
Yes. Yeah.
So I went into it. I set a lot of very hard goals for myself. And one of my other mentors taught me, if you come to a fork in the road, pick a way and go down that road as fast as you can,
Yeah.
just
True.
run as fast as you can. And if you figure out that it's the wrong direction, you're going to get there quicker and you're going to be able to pivot.
Yeah.
But if you're just stuck at indecision, you can't move, you can't go anywhere. So
True.
with that same kind of mentality, I took on the book. I started trying to do it at bite size, 30-minute pieces. And I realized very quickly, it takes you about 30 minutes to get up to speed on
To
where
get
you
into the
were
flow.
and what content is next.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like, okay, we're going to have to carve out a little bit more time for this. So started writing from 6 o'clock to midnight every Monday. And then I would wake up at 5 a.m. every Saturday and write from about 6 a.m. I'd go to the gym, work out for about an hour. And then from that time to about noon to 1 on Saturdays, that was book writing time. So I was at the coffee shop writing a book.
Right.
And I did that for 18 months. And,
18 months. Whoa,
yes.
that is a routine. Where's the third and fifth book? Come on.
Yeah, right. I mean, honestly.
You're basically in it.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, man. Yeah, so it was
That's incredible.
a
18
lot of work.
months.
Um,
Wow.
and wrote the book. And then, after you write it,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, it's done. And then it's like, well, the technical reviews just came back and we need these edits done. And then your
Yeah.
image resolution, there's over, I think, 600 images in the book.
The image
And
resolution.
they were
Oh, my
like,
word.
oh yeah, the resolution on every single image isn't good enough. We're going to need you to redo them all.
Bump it up.
And I'm like, oh
Wow.
my gosh, how can I do that?
Yeah.
And, that was a whole nother thing. Every Saturday morning, I was there just zooming in on something, taking another image, saving
Yeah.
it, uploading it to Google Drive. I mean, that was a whole nother thing.
That's very tedious. You have to name them as well, probably, because you can't
Yes.
just sit there taking screenshots. You've
It's
actually got
like
to be able to
figure
find them after.
1.1,
Yeah,
blah, 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 title,
exactly.
figure
Jeez.
1.2.
That's the time-consuming bit.
Yes, 100%. So I had to redo all the images. And then
Wow.
luckily, partnering with O'Reilly, who was the publisher, they actually, they provide you with so many great resources as a writer. A project manager they provide you, an editor, and an artist. So I was able to team up with kind of the artist for the book, and she kind of helped show me the ropes on how to get some high resolution images. So
Good.
if you read the book, make sure you pay attention to the images, man. They're crisp.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work coming into that.
Yeah. Just very quick, inside baseball. I used to work in print design, so I know a bit about resolution and images. When you take a screenshot on your computer or laptop, it's typically 72 DPI. It's actually not very crisp, right? So to get it into print, it needs to be 300 DPI. So if you think it's sharp just looking at it on the screen, unless it's a retina screen where it's 140 something. But anyway, if you think it's sharp enough looking on the screen, typically to get it good enough for print, it needs to be 3 times higher resolution. So that either means it's 3 times larger, but if you can't get it that large, then you have to do some real sort of conundrum with your laptop resolution to kind of force the scaling to go up. So that's
exactly right.
It's not as easy as just blowing it up. So.
No, it was not. And, thankfully I had, the artist's name was Kate. I'm going off
Right.
memory. I'm pretty sure it was
Right.
Kate. And she, we had a phone call, and she kind of walked me through all that, exactly all the stuff you just said, because I had no idea about DPI and all this other stuff. And so she was
Yeah.
like, you need to set your screen resolution to this. Do you have a big
Yeah.
monitor? Like,
Yeah.
here's how you would zoom in. You need to zoom in at like 300%. And,
Yeah.
so she really helped me out. And yeah, images turned out
That's
great.
incredible.
And I negotiated color. So it's all in color, thankfully, which I think added a
That's a
ton of
big,
value to the book, because
yeah, that's
originally
a
it was
big
going to be
step.
black and white.
Amazing, amazing. God, thank you for that perspective. I think it's so important to hear that, because you do see a lot of people writing books, and the amount of people who write books, especially when, like, you got Ryan, serial writer. I think he's about to do his fourth book. I think, I don't know if I'm making that up, but like like when you see people write that many books, it can make it, you can underappreciate the effort, right? And actually, what you should do is appreciate those people even more, because what they have is a very good focused system to kind of allow them to be doing these things, and
Yeah.
they're juggling a lot of things. They're human, like you mentioned. You
Oh,
got
yeah.
3 kids, you got a life, you got work, you've got, like, none of that stops alongside all of this. So you have to, like the gym, make it part of your routine for not
Yep.
just like a week or 2 weeks. Like, how often do people give up a gym membership after like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or two
Yeah.
months? Like, it was 18 months. That's basically 2 years, right? And
Basically.
then you've got the technical reviews, and you've got the image snapping. I think you're probably in the process for the best part of 2.5 years. So it's really
Hmm.
long lead times as well. So anyway, I say all that to kind of just make sure that everyone understands that it's a monumental effort to write a book once and leave alone multiple times. So really incredible. So yeah, I think you've written a book. Let's talk about the transition to Playfair a little bit more, because I think
Mm.
you're obviously here to show us the platform, right? Let's talk a little bit about then Playfair, and I think it helps to maybe just start with your role and sort of what you do, and then we'll take a look at the platform and the wider team.
Yeah, definitely. So at Playfair, my official title is the Director of Analytics Engineering.
Yeah,
So pretty much all the technical side of our business, whether that's consulting or training,
yeah,
kind of funnels up through me.
yeah,
So as a part of that, I have the data engineering team, the visual analytics engineering team, and
yeah,
then what we call the decision science team, which you can think of
yeah,
them as a group of statisticians, basically. So all that ladders up through the analytics engineering team. I'm their lead.
yeah,
Um, Playfair itself is set up very uniquely in the fact that we do both training and enablement as well as
yeah.
consulting.
Right.
So normally you see businesses that do one or the other. We try to equip, our clients with both. We
Yeah,
want to show you how to do it, but we also want to teach you how to do it on your own.
yeah. Be self sufficient.
Exactly. So, and it kind of plays hand in hand. So we'll go in, solve very challenging problems, and create, unique solutions, and then be able to document that and, turn that into training content,
Yeah.
whether that's through live trainings or virtual trainings or through
Hmm.
Playfair Plus, our platform that is more of the on-demand training element
Yeah.
of
Exactly.
Playfair. So that's a little bit about me, my role. So from the consulting perspective, I, do a lot of project management, help guide the team in the right direction, prioritize. But on the training side, I also try to help like organize, what training we're going to do, the content that we're going to write,
Hmm.
prioritizing what gets, marketed. So I'm in those conversations, but primarily just trying to provide as much value out there to the community and to the Playfair
Yeah.
Plus members as I can,
Yeah.
as an instructor as well on Playfair Plus. So I'll do a lot of the video, written, kind of content myself too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. And how's that sort of duality? I work
Mhm.
in consulting as well. We have an equal sort of importance on enablement and consulting, and I think the duality of also being like an educator in that role is probably also quite interesting. So yeah, let's talk a bit about that as well. Like, how do you find that balance?
Yeah, I think they both play hand in hand, frankly,
Yeah.
and kind of balance themselves out. Um,
Right.
Through consulting, a lot of it is trying to be an educator. When
Yeah.
someone hires you into as a consultant, they don't understand something, so you
Yeah.
have to come in with that kind of business expertise, not only just, Tableau or Power BI or Oracle Analytics or whatever Viz tool they're using. You got to know the business. You got to understand
Yeah.
their business, the problem, talk through it. It's a lot of critical thinking. And I think that plays really well with being an educator,
Yeah.
because you can kind of break down a very complex problem and make it simplified, so where anyone can understand it and implement it, and they understand what you've implemented.
Right.
So I do think they play hand in hand. Yeah, that's the best I got on that one.
Good, 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 good. I appreciate it. So, I think I disrupted your trail of thought. So, we were talking about your role at Playfair content. Obviously, you're a director, but also you direct the content on Playfair.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, Playfair Plus is a team effort, right? So, like, what is a team? What is that setup? What does it look like? And how did you fit into it? Because I'm assuming it was maybe already there when you arrived. So, yeah, talk a bit about that as well.
Yeah, so the vision was definitely there. When I got to Playfair, I was actually the second full-time employee. So we
Right.
were just starting out, and we've grown so much since then.
Wow.
We're up to 16 folks now. So
It's a big company.
it's been great.
Probably 8 times larger than when you joined.
Yeah, so it's definitely, which has been awesome, because
Yeah.
a part of that is, I've been able to kind of mold it, and kind of shape it too. So some
Hmm.
of it is, I have my name on it as well, and
Yeah.
it's really just so cool to kind of look at that every day. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
I take a lot of ownership in it.
And pride.
I know
Yeah,
Ryan. I
definitely.
mean, if he's watching
Yeah.
this, he's going to be like, "Oh man, I I feel the same
Watch my
way,
back.
obviously." But
It's
yeah,
my
just
company.
it is. I love it, and I
Yeah.
want it to be so, successful, and I absolutely just love the team that we work with. Every single one of them are just, they're so specialized and talented in their own given, area.
Yeah.
Even today, I, going into and have question and know exactly who to write or talk to, and
Yeah.
boom, answer. And it's just world class, the folks that we work with there. So couldn't ask for a better team. But the dynamics of that, we really boil it down to what we call kind of the Playfair Venn.
Yeah.
And there's four kind of tenets of visual analytics, where we really focus our efforts. One of that is strategy. So
Yeah.
you can think of strategy as the discovery. I talked, when we were talking about consulting, understanding the business problem, critical
Yeah.
thinking, trying to understand what needs to be solved. Because a lot of times folks they kind of know, but they don't know how
Yeah.
to get there. If they knew how to get there, they wouldn't have to call anybody.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. But that strategy piece is kind of the first tenet, if you will,
Yeah. Makes
going through
sense.
that discovery. The other tenets are the design and architecture. So we
Yeah.
call it visual analytics architecture. Some folks might call it design or UX, UI,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where we really focus in and kind of diagnose, you know, regardless of if it's like a statistical model or a predictive model or just a PDF or a PowerPoint of telling the story of the insight. We really do focus a lot about the design, UX, and kind of how folks are going to interact with this tool that we're giving them, and are they going to be able to understand it? So our
Yeah.
architecture is another tenet. Then we have our data engineering tenet. Obviously, to make anything happen, we need some sort of data engineering, data modeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So important today, especially with AI and the talk,
Yeah.
all this new stuff coming out.
Yeah.
We really need to get a grasp on our data before we can take
Yeah.
advantage of all that stuff.
Yeah.
So data engineering is another of the big four, and then visual analytics engineering. So that's where we'll kind of do the front end development, if you will. Tableau, Power BI, Oracle Analytics. We're tool agnostic, but it's about taking those visual analytics, you know, learnings,
Yeah.
understanding of visual analytics and applying it in whichever tool, the
Yeah.
client needs or has. So we kind of adapt to where they're at and meet them where they're at to develop the tools for them. But
Amazing.
that's kind of how the team is structured too. And frankly, we at Playfair really structure every single thing around that Playfair Venn, those four
Right.
tenets.
Yeah.
Consulting, that's exactly how we apply consulting. When you work with us, you're not just getting a person, you're getting a team, and from each one of those tenets that
Yeah.
are going to be specialized for your industry and your problem you're trying to solve. Same thing with our Playfair Plus platform. So
Yeah.
everything we write about, everything we document, do training and build material around is those four tenets. So it's how
Mm.
our site and platform is structured as well. So you'll see kind of those four tenets
Yeah.
at three different types of or three different levels of understanding. From
Yeah. Makes
fundamental to
sense.
intermediate to advanced. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's good. And so, where does Playfair Plus fit into this? So this is maybe explain to people what it is first, and then we can get into it a bit more.
Sure, yeah. So Playfair Plus, like I mentioned, we do both training and consulting.
Yeah.
Part of our training is we can go on site and provide hands-on workshops and training, but we also are uniquely set up with kind of an on-demand training platform called Playfair
Yeah.
Plus. Playfair Plus gives you access to hundreds of video tutorials that we've kind of curated. It's out there for you. And we have playlists set up to where you can go in and kind of follow these learning paths and go down these
Yeah.
tracks, if you will, to understand visual analytics through those four tenets that I talked about earlier. Playfair Plus also has a ton of other benefits, and we've just been rolling out benefits like crazy, especially going in from last year into this year.
Right.
But we've developed things like a visualization catalog, where
Nice.
our team has built like a custom visualization catalog where you can choose kind of a function, like what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And then it has different examples of chart types that you can kind of
Nice.
drill into.
Yeah.
Um, on top of that, we've developed like different variations of each chart type. Kind of work through like the history of the chart, like where it was developed, the best use cases for it, how to apply certain like pre-attentive attributes.
Yeah.
It's like, in my opinion, I'm super biased, but it's the
Yeah.
best data visualization catalog on the planet. I mean, it really
Amazing.
is cool. Goes really in depth and things that don't necessarily teach you, like it's not necessarily related to Tableau, but it's
Right.
things like as an enthusiast or a data visualization expert, things that you would need to know. A little bit of the
Yeah.
history, a little bit about the purpose, and kind of why goes a
Yeah.
long way when you're trying to apply this stuff in real life.
That's
So we have
incredible.
Atlas, we have, like I said, I could go on. Swifts, the learning paths. We just developed a data set called Playfair Proxy, where we've taken real data from the Playfair Plus platform and kind of obviously, white labeled
Mashed it.
everything and kind of cleaned
Yeah.
it up and made it available, for our Playfair Plus members so
Incredible.
they can go in and see and kind of play with real data
Yeah.
that's really robust. Has over 1 million rows, 1 million records, and it just, in my opinion, Sample Superstore is great, but man, this stuff is it's so much
Yeah.
better because
Yeah.
you're getting kind of the real life experience of what
Yeah.
data
Messy
is.
data. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So why don't you show us the platform then? I'll hand over to you to share your screen.
Sure, yeah, I would love to. So this is Playfair Data's website, and a part of our website, like I mentioned, our business, it's consulting and training. So you have kind of two different paths here, but in the top navigation, you'll see a Playfair Plus option. That's our
Hmm.
training and enablement platform. Right now, I'm logged in, so it's showing my user ID here. But if you navigate to that, this is where you can really start accessing all the Playfair Plus benefits. So if you go to, in my case, the dashboard here, This is where it's kind of like a one-stop shop for all your Playfair Plus kind of membership benefits. So we have, video content. You can bookmark your lessons, both written and video lessons.
Yeah.
So as you go through, if there's something that really resonates with you, or you wanted to pick up back up later, you can save those as a bookmark, be able to access it at a later date.
It's really clean.
We also do digital credentials. So this is what we call learning paths. And I mentioned our whole site is kind of set up around those 4 tenets of data visualization. So
Right.
strategy, data engineering, dashboard engineering, and design. And then each of those tenets has 3 different levels. So fundamental, intermediate, advanced. We've curated a learning path for each of those levels and tenet. So there's 12 learning paths in total. Each of them, at the end of the learning path, you can actually take an exam and earn a digital credential that you could share on your kind of resume or public portfolio on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So it's a huge benefit to folks. Atlas, this is our data visualization catalog. So I mentioned we kind of curated this data visualization catalog.
Yeah.
It is a Tableau tool, so you can actually go in here, interact with it. What makes that even better is, as a member, you can actually download Atlas as a tool and learn through practice. You can re-engineer these elements in your own workbooks. So you can actually go in, kind of cut behind the scenes, and kind of see how we engineered things, and kind of apply that on your own. Another great benefit about Atlas is we've documented all the innovations we've created. So, Ryan Sleeper, myself, Dan Bunker on our team, Felicia Steyer, to name a few. These are engineers that have developed brand new chart types that have only been, we curated them ourselves. They've never been
you built them yourselves, designed and built by you.
Designed
Homemade.
and built by the Playfair Data team. Yeah, thank you for the assistance on that one. But those are here for you. So within Atlas, you can actually go in and see behind the scenes on how we develop those new chart types.
Yeah.
So
are you able to show us one?
Tool.
I'm being a bit cheeky, but are you able to show one, or even just like what like an example of like a chart that maybe we all know, but has like a Playfair twist on it, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Yeah. So this is
I think it's really hard for people to, I think it's really hard for people to appreciate. Like people just treat charts as trivial things, like, like it's like they treat it like a catalog item, like a commodity. But I think if you're actually good at, visualization, if you use them right, they're real art. And so using one is an art in itself. Building one for other people to use, a completely different ball game. So I think I just want to give people that. I want to give people that perspective. So yeah, I don't want to just go and like walk on from it. So yeah, I'll give you the floor back. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'll take you guys through kind of a tour, but this is a chart type we developed. It's called the Pilula chart. We kind of had also known as the Dr. Mario chart. If you're old enough to remember the old Dr. Mario game, this kind of like represents kind of the pills and stuff you're creating that kind of Tetris thing on. But this was a chart we developed that looks at specific time periods and kind of breaks those down, so you can see not only how that time period performed, but how long it performed at that specific, either goal or metric. We originally engineered this for a project management dashboard where we were trying to visualize individual team members and whether they were over or under their bandwidth based on kind of story points or estimated times within sprints. And kind of track their progress over time. So that way we could see and kind of identify, are there certain team members that are just constantly overworked? Maybe they're overburdened, and we need to like really focus on them and kind of help ease that burden, maybe spread and rebalance the work. Or vice versa, is there someone that consistently doesn't have enough to do? Maybe they're going to be, bored or
Yeah.
leave the company or something like that. That was kind of the use case that the specific client was looking for. We kind of engineered this for them, and it really hit the mark because they
Amazing.
could
I can see
see,
that as well. Like
yeah,
really easy to read. Really, I mean, when you gave that explanation, and boom, I knew exactly what it was communicating here. So
yeah,
really
yeah.
good.
So it's a really cool mixture of like a Gantt chart. Oh gosh, it was like a Gantt chart and a line chart, kind of in mix. So it was the
In
most
the
bizarre
mix,
thing
yeah.
we've like done. But from the engineering perspective, a lot of times on the Playfair team, because a big stage and part of our process is going through that design.
Yeah.
So the design
Yeah.
team came to us and they were like, "Here's what we're thinking. Don't hate
Yeah.
us." And I was like, "Man, that's cool, but I don't know
How
how the
how
heck
you
we're
gonna
gonna do
build it?
that yet."
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
But it's
you
good that
just
you
kind of
took that
dig in
challenge
and
on. Like
yeah,
a
you
lot of
start
people
kind of
just stick
diving
to
in.
the tracks. Yeah, they just stick to what's available, and it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and then you can like kind of toggle through this and kind of see some different elements or variations of the charts.
Right.
Um, so that's one of the innovations. And oh shoot, I just changed my screen. Let me jump into another, maybe the Leapfrog chart. This
Yeah,
was
no
another
worries.
one that was designed and implemented from a coffee shop. We kind of met up and we're like, here's the gist of this idea. How what are we could we build? And
Yeah.
this is what we came up with. It's the Leapfrog chart, and again, you can kind of toggle through variations here. But this is what I was pointing out before I kind of toggled the screen too quickly. Is this Insights tab? This is where you can kind of get a sneak peek on how this chart came about.
Yeah.
So I'm kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
giving you
Yeah.
guys insider, but it's all right here for you too. Which is kind of a cool part about this. It also links
The
to
story.
the resources. So not only can you download this and like re-engineer it, you could also go and read the blog, or you could
Yeah.
go and watch the video and kind of learn from our instructors on step by step how to implement it.
Amazing. Really good. And let me just say, like, this is a workbook. It's really well designed. It's easy just to like not think it's a workbook. It's easy to just like thing. But the big clue is at the very bottom. You can see the little Tableau, the little pill there, and
Mm-hmm.
that lets you know that it's Tableau, and you can achieve this level of polish design with a lot of thought. If you want to know how, head to Playfair Plus.
There you go.
There you go. I'm getting into the mix myself. But no, like genuinely, if you apply enough thought to it and you kind of really think about these designs and styles, yeah, you can achieve something really, really polished. And I think people think it's hard, and maybe it is the first time you're learning it, but I think once you have a good setup, that's a really promising
Hmm.
sort of opportunity. I'm also hoping Tableau make it easy for you because they've recently launched themes, right? So
Yep.
there's the potential for you to be able to bake these into sort of more modular assets and files that you can, like, the ideal world one day is that you can just turn this into a theme file that you can share with your clients, and then boom, they don't even have to rebuild anything. They can just pick it up and off they go. So
Yeah, that's definitely kind of a game changer. For a long time, we've done what we call an analytics style guide at
yeah,
Playfair,
yeah,
where think of like a brand guidelines for a business. Every
yeah,
marketing team has a brand guideline.
yeah,
How their logo is displayed, where it's displayed. We develop kind of the same outline, but for analytics tools specifically.
right,
And a part of that is just like you said, like a theme, the branding, even kind of blank
yeah,
individual like architecture you can plug your work into and kind of build around. So
yeah,
the new feature that Tableau just launched is really interesting to me because I definitely think there's a way we can kind of incorporate both that style
yeah.
guide to kind of give everyone kind of a level playing field, and then the
Correct.
themes where they can go and implement it very easily.
Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating because they're launching it in phases. So like ship one is not quite like the full capability. There's a few things missing in there, and I think based on some demos they've shown sort of behind the scenes, I think they'll probably show some more at conference. The shit point that I think everyone will really want to pay attention to is probably like a year out, and like when they get really bold, because I think they want to go down to like sheet level styling and workbook level styling, all the way down to like basically anything that you have to format will have a style sheet of sorts that you can apply, and that will be awesome. That would just be incredible. Even charts. Imagine being able to style a bar chart just like that. Boom. This is how it should look. For companies, huge time saver. So yeah.
Huge time saver for sure. And, from our research, because a lot of folks, I mean, they spend so much time on the data visualization. They don't necessarily spend a lot of time on the UX, the design. But from what we've been able to tell, I mean, you said it yourself, you come into this, it doesn't even look like Tableau until you scroll down and kind of see it is. It's more like a web app. But that alone builds so much credibility for your tool, for your work, and drives adoption. It's as weird as it sounds, but folks like to interact with things that look very nice and are well designed. If you walked into a car lot, you'd probably go toward a Lamborghini and like take a look at that first before the old rusty car,
Yeah, exactly.
So same thing applies to data visualization, but design UX is definitely a huge part in kind of driving data visualization within your organization and within business.
Yeah, amazing. So yeah, I sort of disrupted your thought. You were showing us through. So this is Atlas. It's like a visualization catalog.
This is Atlas.
Got a bunch of charts built in, and it's also a workbook, as you say. So you can it can become a resource in your company if you've got access to the platform, right? So that's really cool.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Yep. So that is Atlas. Let me navigate back here to the dashboard. So again, that's a benefit of Playfair Plus. We also have developed what we call Swifts. So Swifts are, think of them as Tableau accelerators, but these are kind of tool agnostic. So we've developed these tools where you could just go in, plug your own data into, and you're up and running. So things like Google Analytics 4, we have a financial kind of analysis tool, Tableau Cloud, project management, to name a few. And these are in different tool sets as well. So it's not necessarily Tableau, excuse me, but you can dive into Power BI, Tableau, Oracle Analytics Cloud, that's coming soon too. So tool agnostic, but just to kind of give you a preview, the Swifts.
Got a little overlay. I love it.
Yep. There you'd kind of land on this landing page where you can either continue to the workbook and kind of interact with it. You can read the documentation, or you can design it or download it yourself and kind of implement it.
Can I just say while you're here, and this is me just like being a stickler on like details, like this landing page is it's like that in itself is pretty awesome feature. I know like you want to get into the template and I'm stuck on the landing page.
Let me back
but
up.
It's funny because how often do you go to a report and it's just boom, straight like straight into the brick wall. Here's the data. Here's what you want. And I get that in a business context, but actually a little bit of contextualization doesn't hurt, right? So here you are, you've landed the Swift, you're at the Asana tracker, you clicked on that. But what do you want to do? See the thing, understand how it works, or review the guide. In an enablement perspective in a company, that's actually quite useful, especially for a new report. You might leave this on for the first 2 weeks when new people are coming on. And then after 2 weeks, take it off and have it as an icon, right? So there's different jump points. But just in terms of getting people familiar with something quickly, I don't see people thinking about this. So this is a great touch. I love it. Sorry to break.
Oh, no. I appreciate that feedback. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
And we have tutorials and stuff on how to implement these landing pages on the platform too. But you can continue to workbook. This is all data. Again, that's that Pilula chart I was just previewing in Atlas. There's that idea where you can kind of track people's progress over time, and who's above or below capacity.
So many details here that I could get lost in. The icons, this the overlays.
So we have overlays, filters. everything that you can think of. This report is essentially set up for immediate use. So you can literally
Yeah.
just go in, change your settings,
Just
put your
connections
own data
and
in
boom.
it, and use it.
Wow.
So these
Incredible.
are things that folks can kind of dive into immediately. So that's the
Yeah.
Swifts on our site.
Great. Much better than the flip, like, dare I say it, accelerators over at Tableau. Like, I think when accelerators launched, I really went in on them. I was like, what are these? What are people doing? And I do remember someone at Tableau reaching out and just being like, hey, Tim, like, why do you think these are so bad? And I'm like, you don't get it. You don't get it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
these are made by you, the vendor. Like, you are Tableau. Like, it wouldn't hurt you to go to the community and just see the standard to which we do the work
Yes.
and take the best examples and pay those people, invest in those people, or reward those people for making those great templates and bring them as assets that everyone can use, right?
Yes.
And to this day, the accelerators have never really sort of hit home. Where we've landed is actually we've got Viz extensions now where,
Mm.
members in the community are building awesome things. Christian Ladata Viz, he's been on the channel, right?
Yeah.
Building these bespoke chart types for people to come and build these things they've been trying to build for ages.
Yeah.
And likewise, I'd say to you, for you, it's like a USP, and I totally get why, because I wouldn't want this in the in the Tableau exchange because it'd be so out of place because it's too good. Like, you can't go, it's not on the same level. So I think it's good that you have it as part of your platform because I think it contextualizes the standard that you're going for, right?
Mm.
You don't go buy a Ferrari from like your local car dealership. You go to a very nice showroom and deal with things that way. So
For
I
sure.
appreciate the care that you've taken in presenting them, and also just like what you showed us was fantastic. So I keep breaking your thought, but yeah, the
No,
small
no,
things
love
really
it.
matter.
Yeah, and really appreciate the feedback. And another part of these too is you can kind of get into our head a little bit. You can see, the
Correct.
design choices we've made, the chart types we've chosen, the way we've displayed information. You can take that, re-engineer it. So this is, while it is something that you can download and use, it's also training and enablement in itself, just to kind of
Yeah.
see these things applied, kind of in a
Yeah.
real life setting with
Yeah.
real data.
Yeah. Amazing.
Few other benefits. I'll be brief, but we covered these. These are kind of the primary. As a premium member, we do training all the time, virtual
Right.
trainings. Our next one's on Power BI. I just had a training in February on statistical Tableau. So that teaches you all kinds of data visualization around visualizing statistics in Tableau.
Yeah.
But as a premium member, these modules or training opportunities are free. So for all of our premium members, they can just RSVP. Excuse me. All of our
No worries.
training, our premium can RSVP and attend the training for free
Yeah.
as
Amazing.
a part of the benefits.
That's really nice. So those are like live classroom events, right? That you schedule, and then people have
They
the
are
option to sign up to
live.
them, and then you
Mm-hmm.
record. Do you record them, or like do people just only live basically for the engagement?
It's a full production, so just like everything,
Nice.
we try to go as big as we can,
You
and
do
really
everything in one shot.
focus the
Yeah.
quality. So we have a producer that actually produces it all.
You have a producer.
It is
Amazing.
recorded. It's
Do they
live.
sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
producer. Do they know Tableau? Like, this is something I asked this question from a very selfish perspective because I run a YouTube channel, right? I've
Sure.
made 500 videos, and
Yeah.
I've like the two people I'd love to get is an editor and a producer. And I've always wondered, what does a producer for someone who works on Tableau content look like?
Mm.
So does your producer know Tableau, or if you got someone from the industry who's just sort of helping you kind of push with the production, if that makes sense?
Yes and no.
Okay,
So
interesting.
they know of Tableau. They know kind of the
Right.
basics, but I wouldn't. They're probably they're not like a Tableau engineer by any
They're
means.
not an analytics. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fine.
Just like
Makes
everything,
sense.
their specialty is
Interesting.
kind of within their own kind of
Producing.
domain, but they
Yeah.
are kind of cross functional. They understand it a little
Yeah.
bit. But yeah, through the trainings, it's live, it's recorded, fully produced,
Incredible.
and then the recording's available to you through the platform for a certain amount of time. And what else was I going to go on? Oh, it's also moderated. So we have a chat. We actually have a team member in the chat that's kind of helping folks out. So it's a really good event to attend. I mean, it's
Nice.
just, in my opinion, there's nothing else like it out there.
Yeah,
But
it's good.
yeah, we do those virtual trainings all the time. And then, like I said, for the premium members, those trainings would be free where they can just RSVP.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Incredible. And
Um,
then I'm assuming, you can
mhm.
do these. So you've got this trainings. You talked a bit about learning paths, and I'm assuming the learning paths lead to these credentials that you talked about, right?
Yeah, let me jump over there. So I'll scroll down to the learning paths. So from the training
Oh, here we go.
page on our
Yeah,
site, again, it's broken down by those four tenants. And
great.
then each tenant has kind of these three levels of
Yeah,
advanced, intermediate, and fundamental.
makes sense. Makes
And
sense. I love that you teach strategy. That's actually quite
oh, yeah.
that's rare. Like so many learning platforms, I won't name them, but they major on like the technical side, but none of the thought that goes into it, right? So again,
100%.
another chef's kiss. I love it.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, if you think about visual analytics as a whole, you know, anyone can learn Tableau. Tableau is
Yeah,
a very easy tool to kind of jump in. You can figure it out and learn how to use it. But to apply visual analytics appropriately, you have to have some understanding of this strategy piece.
yeah,
Who's your audience? What are they trying to solve? What's the objective of the tool? These very simple questions that often, like you said, get overlooked.
yeah,
And that's why, in business, we'll see, there's thousands of reports that,
yeah.
all are reporting different numbers because no one's thought through, if I filter this out in that where statement, maybe it's going to
What's gonna
be
happen?
different. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, yeah.
having
Oh,
this
love it.
overall strategy and kind of how to implement visual analytics as a whole, very important. And yeah, this is kind of that landing page where you can kind of see who your instructors are. Like I said, it is a team
Great
effort.
touch. Yeah,
So Ryan Sleeper is the lead instructor here. Here's some of the other instructors you'll see throughout this learning path. And then down here, recommended tutorials, both video, written. So just a ton of content and a ton of value
sort of
that you can kind of get out of
augmenting
these.
your content. Yeah. Like I'll again some inside baseball. I think when we started speaking, I talked briefly about the fact that I'd previously worked on a learning platform in the past,
Mm,
and getting to the point that you guys have gotten to, I can't stress enough how monumental of an effort that is. It's just like the planning, the production, the editing, the edits, the re-edits, the enhancements, a new version comes out, suddenly you got to rethink a whole like learning path. Tableau announced they're changing something, they're deprecating something, and
mm-hmm.
now you've also decided to go and cover Power BI, so you multiply that problem times two, and then not only that, you decide to cover the technical side and the strategy side, and the strategy is like we work in analytics, that stuff changes every 2 years,
Oh yeah,
and at the same time you're growing your body of content, but at any moment it all has to be up to date, like monumental effort, like
it's a ton of work. It is a ton
it's
of work.
crazy, it's crazy. So I maybe I'm probably coming across as a big fanboy here, but like it's it's an incredible effort. I can't stress that enough, and I honestly challenge people to, a lot of people will do Tableau courses, right?
Mm,
Like if you just Google Tableau courses on Google, I'm sure you'll find hundreds of platforms from Datacamp to Udemy to whatever, Coursera, so many people. Then you go on YouTube, you find a ton of content about Tableau, mine and myself included. The thing about that is that the detail you've put into the curation, the detail you've put into sort of covering the context around it, and the thing that thought really reflects that you've got experience doing this at a really high standard. And if you were to just go find a Tableau, a platform that teaches Tableau and Power BI really, really well, I think your platform does it nicely because
Oh.
there's consistency between the two, right? So if
Mm.
many companies are switching from Tableau to Power BI and some people go from Power BI to Tableau, having the duality of knowing that you've got people covered on both sides, I think is a really kind of good thing in that sense. And then on top of that, I think you had in your chart templates, right? And in your Swift, you had versions for both. So
Mm.
if a customer's in Tableau and suddenly they've been told they're switching to Swift, they're really happy because they're just coming on here and downloading the Power BI version and going, we're done. Like,
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
those things are just there, right? So, and I can't stress enough. Like, someone messaged me. I won't name who this is, but I'll put a screenshot,
Mm.
and I'll give you the context here. They messaged me and they said that they need to move 8,000 views from Tableau. No, 1,000 views from Tableau to Power BI. 1,000 views to Tableau, and I was like, the little I know about Power BI tells me that you can't just copy and paste calculations across.
Very
Like,
true.
you also just can't take the same data models and take them across. Like DAX and
Yes.
everything in Power BI works completely
Yes.
differently. Like the way measures are done, like my head just blows up when I look at Power BI. Generally, I think I last like an hour and I'm done. And the fact that you've sort of taken care of that is really good. So I love it. Love it.
Oh man, thank you for that. And yeah, it is. It is a struggle. I think there's a lot of change, a lot of shifts in the environment right now, especially in the analytics space as a
Yeah.
whole. So, um, really, we try to focus as much as we can on content that's tool agnostic. So we might be using Tableau to teach you kind of these, you know, tenants or
Yeah.
problem solving or
Yeah.
implement how to implement this thing, but really that can be taken and applied elsewhere too. To
Yeah.
your point, maybe not the exact calculated fields, that's not going
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
happen.
That's not going to happen. That's a
But
hard thing
the
to
kind
ask
of
for.
key learnings and fundamentals of it can be applied, in any tool. So that's kind of the
Yeah.
kind of content we try to focus on, things that can be applied tool agnostic, really anywhere.
Yeah. Interesting. Amazing. I love it. I love it. So like if people want to like, go and try the platform, they head to I think playfairdata.com, right? And they'll find it, they'll sign up, and then you've got a range of different offerings. I'm assuming you sign up as an individual as well as a company? Like do you have that sort of flexibility?
We do. We do. So let me dive. I'm sorry, I'm going to share my screen again. I
That's
stopped
fine. That's
sharing and
totally fine.
I'll kind of
It's
dive
fine.
into it on the platform. It's just easier to explain.
It's probably easy just to show it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
let me,
I think it's good to just to touch off on that before you stop sharing, because then it gives people a natural sort of jump off, as it were.
for sure. Yeah, so your question was, do we offer benefits for both individuals as well as institutions or organizations? The answer is yes. We offer what's called a corporate membership.
Mm-hmm.
Corporate memberships, obviously, we want to partner with you, and sign up, your entire team. So
Yeah,
everyone is kind of on the same page, working at the same level, through this platform and this training. They
yeah.
can kind of all get up to speed at the same time. So we have corporate memberships. We also have academic partnerships.
Oh,
So
incredible.
yes, we've been working very hard the
Nice
last few
touch.
years to establish all these relationships worldwide, with all these different academic
Oh,
institutions.
wow.
So a lot of them already have kind of access to, this platform.
Yeah,
If anyone's ever interested, they could just message us, and we can apply, essentially send the code that they would need
they
to,
can use.
activate that. Exactly. And that gets
Amazing.
them access to kind of a discounted price, for the
Yeah,
tool. They would have to log in through their EDU, and then the corporate memberships, kind of same thing. It would give you
yeah.
access to the, discounted prices, based on their company email.
Company email.
So
Yeah, yeah. That's a good way to do it.
yeah, yeah, we do it both ways. And then for the individuals as well, let me just scroll up to our tiers. We have a free tier. This is where you can just kind of access all of our tutorials. We actually
Proxy data
provide
sets, good.
proxy, which is a
That's a nice
benefit I didn't
touch.
even touch on, but that's that mock data set we curated.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Bookmark
You
lesson.
mentioned it. You didn't forget. You mentioned it. Don't
And
worry.
then the account dashboard. And then we have core.
Nice.
This gets you access to the video tutorials plus all
Yeah.
that, Atlas playlists, and then the live training event discounts, digital
Incredible.
certifications through the learning paths. And then premium gets you the all access kind of free public live events, Swifts, Will I Am.
Will I
Oh
am.
man, yeah. Here they are, Tim. These are the ones I didn't touch on. I knew it would happen. But guides is a curated list of content that will
Yeah.
teach you how to build. So I showed you the Swifts.
Yeah.
A guide will teach you how to build every single element in that Swift,
And that's
from
Swift.
the
Wow.
architecture to the
Filters, the
the Viz tool.
buttons.
But it points you to all
Nice.
the content on our site that will teach you that. So
So
it's
it is
guiding
like
you through
the
the
thing.
process.
It's like a compass. That's another
Exactly.
name if you decide to change the name.
I like where your head's at, man. You know, if you noticed, Atlas guide.
Yeah, 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 exactly. That's why I was like, nah, it should be compass, not guide.
Yeah. And then we have Will AIM. So this
Yeah,
is our premium chatbot, available to premium customers or
yeah,
members, I should say. And what it does, it's been trained on, I mentioned we have hundreds of tutorials, hundreds of video. We've essentially spun this thing through all of that.
yeah.
And this chatbot can essentially guide you. You can ask it questions. It will tell you how to build a chart. You can ask
Amazing,
it questions. It will recommend content on where to start. So it's a
amazing.
huge benefit to kind of get you up and running very quickly on the
Good.
platform.
Love it. Love it. Really love it. Hey, listen, like I'm really impressed by the platform. One of the reasons I wanted to get you on here is because I think it's like a hidden gem, if that makes sense. I think the people who know about it love it and just enjoy it, probably tell their friends. But as I've discovered in this community through my channel, like so often I'll make a video about something and so many more people discover something. And so
Yeah.
like when Ryan reached out and you reached out, one of the things I said was we have to talk about the platform, tell people there's an alternative to sort of these big power houses who just essentially churn out the same videos, right? The same content. They have one or two USPs, but I think yours has got a lot of really specific touches that relate to both Power BI and Tableau. So I wanted to call that out. And yeah, I really appreciate you sort of spending nearly an hour and a half on this to share people. Yeah, do you have any sort of shout outs? Obviously, you probably want to shout out the whole Playfair team. I love the little sketches you do, by the way. That's always been a really nice touch. The little animated like
Ah,
cartoons of yourselves. That's a really that's a fun little thing. I know Biztory do something like
yeah.
caricature, but I think you guys did it first with
Oh,
the
yeah.
thing. I really like it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. That's a kind of a nod to our KC roots here in Kansas
yeah,
City. We actually work with an animator out here. So I'll give him a shout out for sure.
yeah,
His name is Jess, but he's the one that actually designs all of our avatars. And as
yeah.
you scroll through our site, like the imagery of like,
The cartoons,
people
yeah,
probably
yeah,
think we're a bird watching company because we have
yeah,
different
yeah.
birds that
Kingfisher,
represent the
yeah.
things. And
It's a
uh,
kingfisher in the Playfair Data logo, isn't it?
Kingfisher
Is
is
that
our,
right?
our
Yeah,
main
yeah,
logo. And
yeah.
now
There we
with all
go.
the tiers, we have like, the Kansas City Meadowlark. And if you look at Ryan's books, he has, birds on all of his
He's
books.
always birds. Oh my god,
How funny is that? You're connecting the
that is
dots.
like so true, isn't it?
Yeah, but
There is a
Jess from
theme. Now you
Pilgrim
call it
Animation
out.
out here in Kansas City, he does all of that work for us. So very
Oh,
thankful for
amazing.
him. But as far as shout outs, just extremely thankful for the Playfair team, obviously. And, as a fellow content creator yourself, you mentioned all the time and effort. I get it. It's a lot of
Yeah,
effort, a lot of time.
exactly,
So
exactly.
really
Yeah,
appreciate, you and folks like you that produce all this content. It's not easy. So
yeah.
thank you for everything you do. And thank you for having me on the show, man.
No worries. Thank you for spending time on the show. Yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. That's what
Cool.
I always say.
Awesome.
uh,
Well, appreciate it, Tim.